Okay, gonna now in this chapter, I'm gonna be like talking about three interesting things that I went through this book. Number one, did are we actually connected to Asia, to Malaysia? The second one is this, or are we native, or are we actually the original, or do our ancestors come from the Americas? And the third, and I will end this video by saying how Europeans described Polynesian women. So these are the three subjects I'm going to be talking about in this this chapter. But firstly, can we say how beautiful, like our ancestors, like this photo over here? I'm sure a lot of Samoans may have seen it. One of the Samoan, one of the chief daughters of Samoa, and clearly you can see why when I look at a lot of the photos of Samoans and when I make it live, and I'm just putting myself in the same shoes as Europeans, or the earlier Europeans when they first came to Samoa. If I actually looked at this woman and I saw her for the first time, why is it that in my mind I can't see any connection to Africa or Asia? That somehow, whether Samoans or Polynesians originated from a different type of race, like Aboriginals, whether they came straight, I think, like, the more I'm starting to look at Samoans, there's no other race in the world that look Samoan. There's nothing. But that's my opinion. The more I see my people come back to life. But there is something interesting. When I was going through the chapters, Polynesia, there was this other race, this darker, much uglier race. How do you say? This is what he thought. He generally believed that that within Polynesia or Oceania, there was an old race who were black and frizzy-haired people, and they were conquered by Asians. This is what they believe. And if you go down from it, you'll find something really interesting when I was reading it, and that is this French sailor had a young servant from Manila who is on board, and this is what I found very interesting. He could understand what Samoans were saying, and he could explain in a greater part of the islanders' words. He then makes, and this is where I think a lot of Europeans and Cook Island, the Captain Cook, must have thought that even though we do not look Asians, but somehow, because they had this Asian, this is where I think this out of Taiwan theory came from, that because this guy could understand what Samoan said, that I think Europeans made up this story, that all languages of the Philippines are derived from Malay, which the language is widely spread than Greek or Latin. It is used by innumerable people who live in the South Sea and islands, both hemispheres. I consider it proved that these various nations are merely Malay colonies, which in very remote periods conquered these islands. After remaking on the unknown date of the Malay conquerors' arrivals, he expands into the theory of two very distant races for all the South Seas, thus following tradition established by de Bros in 1756. So clearly you can find out that this whole idea, that this outer Tawain theory, must have came out because of this um, Southeast Asian man who could understand Samoan language. If we continue on, this is why I always think to myself: are Samoans Asians, or are we Native Indians? Because if you read over here, they keep saying throughout the whole thing that they keep calling us the Indians. If you read the whole thing, like you find out over here, right, that, for example, right over here, the French did not resist, and there was some little disorder, but Indians armed with sticks, whom we took to be chiefs, reestablished order. Like, this is the thing that really puzzles me. Why is it that if they thought that we looked like Asians, like Filipinos and that, why didn't they just call us that? Why didn't they say Samoans were Asiatic or Asians? Why didn't they put us in that bracket? Or, for example, we know, for example, they did not consider us black or Negro, or they would have used the word Negrito. But this is why I get confused, right? And I feel like when it comes to the language, I think it was more of adaptation. This is why when you find Fijians, they do not speak the same language as other Melanesians. Their tongue or their way of, they picked up a lot of Polynesian culture. And I feel that's the same with Samoans. It's very similar to Southeast Asians or Malays. This is where they probably thought the connection of Polynesia came from, not. So, my conclusion when I think about it, I feel like genetically we are not related to Southeast Asians, but just like Fijians, culturally, the language and the culture, we stole ideas from them. So that's a good explanation for me. Because if you think about it, they went and traveled all over the world. So that's my explanation of why this Filipino man or this Malay could understand Polynesians.